Okay, so I don't have anything against Arabs. I mean, I suppose growing up in Lebanon in the Civil War, not my whole life, but 1975 and 73, uh, the war was pretty bad. Saw a lot of bad stuff. So I suppose that does kind of uh, make me anti-Arab because I didn't like the way that they dealt with their problems. So poverty mainly is was the problem, and people were, even though they didn't identify that as the problem, that's really what it came down to, right? I mean, a whole bunch of Palestinians dumped in the country. Uh, the dynamics are complicated. I mean, you had a whole bunch of Armenian refugees there who settled and finally moved up. There was a lot going on, and I'm not going to get into it all. But, you know, people are people everywhere. So, from that point of view, I'm really not racist towards anybody because I just think that people who do bad things are people who are put in situations far different than the ones that other people who don't do bad things experience. So, I mean, essentially, I have this theory, and I keep it down deep inside. I don't usually talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it today. Uh, that everybody is one person. That really the only thing that makes us different is the fact that we experience different experiences. Now, you could say that each individual reacts differently, uh, but how much is that based on their experience, right? I mean, you can't say that it's not based on people's experiences. So, could very easily say that we're all one person, but we're just reacting different, or we're just reacting to different circumstances. So, I mean, you saw your mother killed right in front of you. How does that change the way you react to, the bread you buy or something? I mean, it's got to all have certain kinds of and certain kinds of experiences have to have strong uh, uh, influences upon the way you react to other things, right? So, so anyway, I'm just saying I'm not really prejudiced, but at the same time, uh, if you take that philosophy that I have about us all being one person, uh, then that means you also people know a lot about other people because they know a lot about themselves. So one thing, this segment isn't really about that, but I just wanted to, flat out state that I don't really hate these people. But I do recognize their behavior because, again, like I said, the if well, so we know ourselves, and to that extent, we know other people. Now, this segment is about putting ourselves in other people's shoes. Uh, Basically, what it's about is turnabout's fair play, right? So, a lot of times when I'm dealing with uh, other people, other nations, whatever, and trying to put things in perspective, trying to help other people understand them, I will turn about. I will turn the I will flip it over. So, like, this is press TV on here, a whole bunch of things. And, I've gotten to where I just almost, I'll look real quick to see if it's about Yemen or something, but uh, generally speaking, it's just propaganda. And what they do is basically what they're doing is trying to say that, America's bad because, and for a lot of reasons, right? But one of them is that we don't treat uh, Persians or Iranians, because this is Iranian TV, Iranian. Uh, when they come to the United States, and we don't just accept tons and tons of Iranians. Well, the thing is, uh, and this goes for all of the Middle East. We're basically at war with the whole Middle East. I mean, yeah, we've won the war when it comes to Saudi Arabia, or at least we think we do, until the next 9/11, right? And then people start going, "Hey, wait a minute." So, we're basically at war with the people of the Middle East, and that's our fault. I know you don't want to admit that, Americans. We're the ones who've been stealing all their, raping their countries, stealing all their minerals and oil and everything. And then when anybody stands up to us, then we just bomb them out of existence. And then, of course, they hate us. So this is our fault. We can't seem, and then there's the flip side of that. If we didn't do it to them, would they do it to us? Well, I don't know. Probably. Because people need to stop doing that to each other, right? That's the main thing we have to figure out. So, of course, they hate us and we hate them. And, if you talk to most average, typical, dumbass American, they all hate Arabs. Uh, just like Israelis hate everybody because they feel like they're, all by themselves. They've got this culture of feeling like everybody hates them. And to a certain extent, everybody feels that way, right? And probably for good reason, because you go outside and you know, oh, excuse me, it's early, and somebody is rude to you or somebody attacks you. I mean, I've been standing in line waiting for my food at a restaurant. Some guy with fucking muscles coming out of his ass, just says, "What the fuck's your problem?" and starts acting like he's going to attack me. So, of course, we all have had, I would say we've all had experiences like that, and it makes us bitter. Now, the question of how to fix all that, how to fix humanity so that when you go stand in line at a Chinese restaurant waiting for your order, the guy in front of you doesn't act like he's going to kill you and he's like the Hulk. Even though you didn't do anything. Some people are really fucked up. So that makes everybody fucked up, right? I mean, the more people that are fucked up, then the more people get tainted, right? Bitter. Okay, so everybody's like that, and press TV is like that. This is what I'm here to talk about. So let's flip it over, though. They say press TV says, well, Americans are awful and they don't accept Iranian immigrants, and the Iranian immigrants that are in the country, uh, legally or illegally. I imagine they're all here legally, but we don't take them. So they're mad about that, or they pretend to be mad about that. They pretend to be mad about how anybody with a you know Arab dress or anything Arab are treated by Americans. Americans stab them or beat them or whatever, right? Okay, but nobody ever thinks about the flip side, right? I mean, Americans are certainly not welcome and certainly don't feel safe. Maybe in some tiny, like at the embassy in Tehran. And then again, what did they do to our embassy, right? I mean, they held all those hostages. Most people probably now don't even remember the hostage crisis. Most, at least young people. So, so now wait a minute. So let's do this then. Let's take all our poorest people and let's put them on planes and fly them to Tehran and dump them off and say we expect Iran to put them all in nice houses, decent living, supply them with transportation, all the basic goods that people need in life. Otherwise, we're going to get on our television and every day talk about how Iranians hate Americans. They don't treat us well in their country. And you see where I'm going here? I mean, you flip it over, right? So, yeah, press TV goes on and on. So, and they love to do this. See how it says a Jewish man speaks out against Israel? They love to find like that one Jew somewhere. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a lot wrong with Israel, but when you go out and you try and find the one person, you know, and maybe he's even paid, right? But and maybe he's not even real. Maybe this guy's some Iranian who they found and just acting like anyway. Probably not. It's probably really. I mean, you can always find one black guy who will talk about how blacks suck and how they just steal, and how they cheat everything. So, so honestly, I mean, where do you get off? Press TV. Do you really think that everybody's stupid enough to believe all this shit that you say? I mean, we already know that they're racist Americans, or Americans that hate Arabs. We already know that. First of all, I would say that overall they're a minority. Most Americans don't hate Arabs. They're just leery of them because of the attacks. And, on my side, I grew up in Lebanon, just up the hill from where Hezbollah was created. I don't have any particular hatred. I mean, yeah, uh, some of the kids uh, used to try and catch us, any Americans, English, European, uh, on the streets. They weren't even allowed on the streets where we lived. They had to stay in their own little, what do you call it, an enclave. It was called Sibnaya. It's right, I mean, it was 50 feet below my balcony. But then again, the street that we lived on, well, I guess as long as they behaved themselves, they were allowed to walk back and forth in between there and Babda. But uh, often they didn't behave themselves. I mean, I was attacked twice. Once by one of them had a knife. Well, actually, he didn't even show the knife. He just said he had one in his pocket and told me and a friend to give him. We had ping pong paddles and balls and our coats. He stole my coat. Okay, and then another time I was with this English kid friend of mine, and we were taking a ladder back to my friends, the Salem's house, and about four of them tried to take the ladder away from us. And believe it or not, I actually, because I'd been training in something called Kyokushinkai, which is just basically Taekwondo, and I actually kicked one of them in the chest and took a couple swings at the others, and they backed off and went away. And then the mother, which is a mountain, she's like 500 pounds. She shows up in our apartment, and there's always a doorman, kind of, they were called jagas. Or no, that was Indonesia. Anyway, we had a doorman. He was just a little guy. Abu, I don't remember his name now. Anyway, I hear all this yelling, and it's this mountain of a woman, you know, these Shia, uh, just yelling away at him because she claims that I stole the guy's watch, or that he lost it in the fight, which it wasn't really much of a fight. I mean, honestly, as little of a fight as these four guys against two, and my friend didn't fight at all. So it was really like 4-on-1. As little of a fight as they put up, I have to think that it was more about getting my attention, our attention, trying to interact with us. You know how people do things like that? Anyway, so uh, I forget where I was going with that, but it's all interesting stuff because it's all relative. I mean, how my experiences, uh, and we'll go all the way back to the beginning, what I was talking about, so we all have different experiences. And I think it's good to share those experiences because that enables you, who was only different from me by our experiences, to share in the experiences. If we share in enough other people's experiences, then we can have a better understanding of people in general. Now, one thing that we don't do, other than through the press, like this press TV, is share other people's experiences. And we should. I mean, if you're going to, and no, I don't mean, because lots of people lie, lots of people make up stories, and I don't think that we should worry about, uh, I don't think we should be fooled by people who are just trying to convince us, basically con us. And that's a lot of the problem with the interactions between people is we know that other people are going to try and con us. So we become like, oh, we don't care about what you think. We don't care about your experiences. We don't want to listen to what you claim to be experiences because you're lying and you're making shit up just to try and con us. You're uh, uh, speaking to us is just a attempt to well, anyway. So my point is there are problems, right? But at the same time, what you should do, what it would be nice, would be if you could, get people to talk to you not as adversaries, but as friends, right? So that you could get the real experiences of other people. I mean, they're not going to get down to just, being honest with you and everything if they think that you're just like the devil, And it seems to me like whether you talk about Americans who hate Arabs or Arabs who hate Americans, none of those people are going to talk honestly with each other, right? They're just going to come at each other from the point of view of distrust and hatred. That's what it comes down to. So I think that it would be really cool if we could just cut the bullshit, and uh, I mean, basically get people like me on both sides who are willing to try very hard to get past all the hatred and distrust and get into the experiences of each other. Because I think once that happens, I think that's where you break the cycle. I mean, I've seen people who absolutely hate each other get together and within 15, 20 minutes are liking each other, right? But this stuff, press TV, like here, shock and outrage as Muslim man in Canada attacked in an apartment, hate crime. Okay, so are they talking about all the Muslims in Canada who don't get attacked in hate crimes? And is it a hate crime? Or is it just two people who can't get along, right? I mean, you have people getting attacked in apartments all the time. They're not Arabs. White people attacking white people, black people attacking white people, black people. Brown people attacking brown people. But, they're not hate crimes. All of a sudden it's a hate crime, which I'm sure it is. But at the same time, didn't the white person who attacked a white person hate the white person? Maybe not because they were white, but they still hated them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have attacked them, right? So, um, anyway, I flipped it around, and I think you understand. I think what I said was pretty easy to understand, so I'm sure everybody understands what I had to say about sending, like, uh, trying to get Iran to take a whole bunch of Americans and telling them, well, you have to make sure they're treated right. You have to make sure they're not victims of hate crimes. Uh, I did this segment because when I get up first thing in the morning, the first thing I see is always press TV, press TV, press TV. All these press TV releases, and I have to just, because I add the segments from my, uh, what is this? This is where my subscriptions are, YouTube subscriptions. And I only do YouTube subscriptions on here that produce, produce segments that are for my Democratic Party news headquarters. Basically, I create a playlist with all of the segments that I like, and mostly it's. I mean, yeah, sometimes Press TV does some good stuff, like when they cover uh, Yemen or some other things. They actually uh, have a far better point of view than, like if you were to do I don't have a Saudi Arabian station, but Al Jazeera. So I wouldn't like take a segment on Yemen from Al Jazeera, but I would take a segment on Yemen from Press TV, from the Iranian point of view, versus the Qatari or wherever Al Jazeera is out of, I forget. And those guys are all fighting each other. And so, like I wouldn't take Russian television or Press TV, which is Iranian. Again, I think you know that by now. I've said it 3 times. Uh, I wouldn't take their point of view on Syria because they just lie their ass off. There, I'd take Al Jazeera's side. You know, I mean, you get to know who's propagandizing, right? I mean, oddly enough, uh, like Al Jazeera propagandizes against um, Venezuela, and I don't know why. I don't know why they hate the left wing in South America in general. I mean, they will dedicate hours and hours of programming, which costs a fortune, to trying to convince people that Venezuela is just Maduro and Chavez, they're all just a bunch of assholes who are just trying to screw their own people and all this stuff. And I happen to know for a fact that nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, Maduro and Chavez, neither one of them are like champagne drinking, you know, fat cats, which is what they portray them as. And it's just all bullshit. So it's kind of odd. And what I do is I create these a playlist every day, unless sometimes I get too busy to do it. And I post it on my Democratic Party headquarters news on Facebook, and so that people can see, you know, I tailor it to help people understand progressive issues. So even if I'm speaking internationally, I may be talking about unions and you know uh, Argentina or uh, journalists being murdered in Colombia or something like that. And on the other hand, I try to tailor it in the United States, like politics, on how to get rid of the Clintons and Obamas, all of the establishment Democrats. And I think I do a really good job. But first thing in the morning, it's always piled with Press TV. Look at all this Press TV stuff and CBS News. And 90% of it is useless, really, when you get right down to it. As a matter of fact, what I do first thing in the morning is I skip right through all this CNN, CBS, Press TV, until I finally get down. Here's Telesur. They'll have some interesting. See, look here. You would think they would just do South America, but here they're talking about Pakistan elections. Here's a whole show that they did, half hour, and it's Chevron Texaco's environmental disaster in the Ecuadorian Amazon. So, that would be good, except for I like to start out my show with something about progressives in the United States. So, I'll zoom through here and find something from either real the real news, or see, like here's the real news. Now this might European Union fines Google, so that's not really about the United States. Here's Tom Hartman, electile dysfunction. That might be interesting, but generally speaking, I want to get something by uh, Secular Talk, Kyle, and even better, the Humanist Report with Tom Figueredo, because they cover some great stuff. Here's the Humanist Report, but goddamn, he's doing Trump. I don't do Trump. I mean, I think that everybody knows enough. Everybody knows he's a dickhead. Everybody knows that he's going to be screwing around. I mean, oddly enough, he seems to be doing a lot of good things from time to time, but you'll find out that he's doing it for the wrong reasons. That's Trump, you know. And do we really need to cover that? I mean, doesn't everybody know? Well, to me, they do. Damn, Israel's bombing Hamas again. So every once in a while, CNN or CBS will have something good. Anyway, I didn't really get in here to explain to you how I do my news, but I think this was more about press TV than anything else. But definitely watch my segments, my playlist, my YouTube playlist with all the different segments, because I tailor it, like I said, so that internationally it covers progressive issues. Nationally, domestically, it covers as much as possible the struggle within the Democratic Party for progressives to retake the party, take it back from these Democratic Leadership Council, Democrats, establishment Democrats, the ones who take money from the corporations, Clintons, Obamas, Schumers, Pelosi's, those ones we're trying to beat, get rid of all of them. And we will. So yeah, by all means, Democratic Party headquarters is here. I'll show you. So, my Chrome was all screwed up, so I got rid of all my settings. So there's Democratic Party headquarters. We're going to go to Democratic Party headquarters. News. This is where, come here and join. I don't know if you even have to join. I think I've got it set up so that, and these announcements, which is a new thing, they used to do it with pinned posts, but I like this because you can have multiple pinned posts basically. Somebody can just click on see all, and these are segments just like what I'm doing now, me doing a show, and that's one thing. But then here is the playlist segment, full of segments. And so, like, this is news 180720, so this is yesterday's. and there'll be another one today as soon as I get around to it. And you just click on the YouTube link here, and that takes you to.
Do you like ads? I don't. That's why we created Ad Remover. It's a product that makes it so you never have to see another ad on any website ever again. Now that.
Okay, now was that hilarious? So that's somebody selling. It's an ad about how to stop having to watch ads. I mean, is that hilarious or what? I mean, I should be rolling on the floor laughing right now. The first thing that I do is I pop in here to my own show, and they put an ad about buying software that will is basically pop-up blocker, right? And do you think it's true? I mean, do you really think that anybody can stop the YouTube ads like that? There's no way. I mean, how are you going to do it? You can't. You can't create a piece of software that can stop YouTube from putting ads on its videos. And you know that's a whole nother can of worms. How people are being demonetized. So you know that's. I'm glad that I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't try to make any money. I don't. You know, you have to click on it and say you want to get involved with the YouTube program. My show. I don't care about YouTube's money. You know, they want to try and make money off of ads and what have you. You know, fuck them. Who gives a shit? I'm in this not for the money, but to educate people as to the truth. So I'm not. I could give a shit, and I don't need the money. So, so here you end up on my YouTube playlist. You know, if you and you can go back a ways and see earlier. So there's 18, 07, 19. You know, it just goes back continually. And I guess my actual segments where I'm talking like I'm talking to you now, I guess I've only got 2 of them right now, and they're here. Because I used to keep the latest one pinned, but they've taken that away and they created this, and I really like it the way it is now. I hope they don't change it. I mean, they're always coming in and changing everything, and they'll take things that work real well and get rid of them, and you're like, ah, fuck, man, that was working well. So this is all working well. YouTube, I mean, Facebook, you know, you people at Facebook who work at Facebook, I just want you to know that I think this works really well. Having a place up top where you can have a separate kind of place for people to go through stuff. So I guess if I click on see all, and there's only 2 so far, it will see, and here's a previous one that I did. So, okay, I want to help you all learn to think like a bush. Okay, so there are my only 2 segments that I've done. I revamped. I removed all my YouTube, my Democratic Party headquarters news programs a couple months ago because I went to this new format and I didn't want them back there. I may repost them, let people watch them, because most of what I do is timeless anyway. I mean, it doesn't really have to be, something I said a year ago would still be interesting to people, I think. So, anyway, covered a couple of cool things, and I think I'll post this to YouTube and put it in here in my announcements. Y'all have a good day.